Hello enemies and book lovers, my name is Ash and this is my September wrap up. September was my worst reading month, probably within the last like 2 years. I've only read 3 books. 3 books. So I think this is gonna be a pretty short video. I'm hoping it's gonna be a short video. Technically I read 3.5. I finished half of Eldest, which was over 300 pages to get to halfway mark. So Halloween came early for me this month. I have hormonal acne, which is fun. So the beginning of September, I didn't read many books because of my depression, all that. I talked about it before. Luckily, that did kind of blow over. The second half of September, I did a lot better, but the problem was I wasn't really in the reading mood. I was in a gaming mood, which for me is pretty uncommon. I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter lately, so I've been playing games still, but I'm balancing it out a little bit. I already finished a book. A little difficult to have a lot of hobbies, but you know, we're going with it. I'm gonna try to kind of prioritize reading this month a little bit more than last month because I have so many books this month. I don't know how I'm gonna get through all of them. I honestly don't. So we're gonna start talking about what books I read this month and from least favorite to favorite. So my lowest rated book this month was a 3 stars and this was The Martian by Andy Weir. Okay, so 3 stars for me isn't a bad thing. I think I give 3 and 4 stars a lot. I think I usually give 4. I think I'm giving a lot more 4 stars lately than 3, but I give out a lot of both. So 3 is a bad rating for me. Some people might see it that way, some people might not. It is just like an okay book. It was good enough, but not great. The Martian is a sci-fi novel, mostly focuses on Mark Watney. Watney? You know, Mark and his team go onto Mars and they do a space landing and they're doing their space astronaut stuff, you know. Very philosophical description, I know. When a sandstorm kicks up on Mars and most of the team get off of the planet, so they do survive. I think in my TPR video I said that they died. They do not die. They simply leave without him, thinking that he's dead, when in actuality he's still alive and he lives on Mars for a long time, hoping that they will come back and rescue him at some point. So it is like a survival sci-fi story and I love the concept of it. I thought it would be amazing. There's a few reasons why it didn't really turn out that way for me. So I will say the pros before I say the cons. So the pros were that it was just really well written. Andy Weir, the author, did an incredible job with the science aspect of it and the descriptions, and I was reading it and I didn't understand most of it, but you know what? It was really cool. I think it was a lot of talent, a lot of intelligence that I don't really have, and I just thought it was really well done and pretty impressive, honestly. Now, the reason that I didn't love it as much as I thought I was going to be was, I think, at least 2 main reasons for it. One of the reasons, and the one that I kind of brought up first, was that I felt like I was reading a science textbook in school being told to me by like a really witty, like funny professor, or at least one trying to be funny. I was just reading it and it was mostly going over my head when it came to descriptions of every single thing. Every single thing was described and to the scientific fact, and I was just like, okay, I get it. It's really cool and I like how some of this stuff works, but at the same time, what does it mean? I got until the end of the book where I started to skim that kind of stuff and it got a lot better for me. I should have probably skimmed it a bit sooner, but I was trying my best to wrap my head around it. But like I said, that didn't really take away too much of it. It just kind of made it a little bit more boring at certain times. Without all that scientific description, this book would have been a lot shorter. It was kind of a basic premise, pretty repetitive with what happened. It would be Mark in a situation, something would go wrong, he would fix it with his scientific smarts, and same thing would happen. Something would go wrong, he would have to fix it, and then it got better. And that's pretty much the premise of the entire book, which makes sense of obviously that things would go wrong, or he's in Mars, so I can't be mad about that. But it wasn't the most enthralling book in the world, that's all I'm gonna say. And the second thing is Mark's humor. Now, a lot of people like his humor. It makes sense because if he didn't have a sense of humor, he would probably not survive being on Mars, because that is a pretty depressing thing to go through, to be completely isolated for a long period of time and not having really interaction with anyone. He could also be just hopeless. This is a very scary situation. He could die any second. So of course he's going to be, you know, using his humor to try to make things better. I didn't like his humor personally. I thought it was kind of annoying at times. He was very immature, and for me that was kind of a turnoff to his character. Like, I do know a lot of people that did like it. I laughed at one part, but other than that one thing, nothing else I didn't really think it was funny. I don't know if people like that kind of humor. Maybe they thought it was funny, but I was just like, like sending like boob emojis like to NASA. I mean, why? I might try more from Andy Weir. I have Project Hail Mary on my want to read list, so I still might get to that. But yeah, this was a 3 stars. Still good, still enjoyable. I think if Mark character was a little bit more likable for me. I would have enjoyed it a bit more. I would have liked more of a psychological aspect of what's going through his head. There's a few parts like that and I really liked it. It showed a bit of his emotion towards what's happening, but it was only like 3 parts. The other parts he was just kind of like making jokes and being witty, and sure, that's fine for survival, but like it made it a little bit boring. Like I wanted to see a character going through psychological trauma. Does that mean? I mean, he's on Mars for a long time, and so you'd think that he would go through some psychological changes, but he doesn't really. And even if it is, it's a bit subtle. I would have liked to see more of that, but still, really well done. I am very commending of Andy Weir. He did an incredible job writing this. I didn't love it, but I know a lot of people do, and I still liked it. The next book I read was The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This was the Cliterature book club pick for the month of September, and I thought I wouldn't like this, but I actually quite enjoyed it a lot. I gave this a 4 stars, which is pretty good for a contemporary romance, especially a sports romance. I'm not a sports romance person, so it was pretty good for me to be giving it a 4 stars. This follows Hannah, who is a very smart woman in school, and there is a jock character named Garrett, and he's struggling with his grades and sees that Hannah is doing an incredible job. So he goes to Hannah and says, can you tutor me? Can you kind of like help me with my grades because I'm doing a bad job and I need to keep my GPA up to be, you know, a good player in sports and stay on the scholarship. Hannah is adamant in saying no in the beginning, but then she has a crush on another guy. And for some reason, Garrett thinks it's a good idea to date him, like fake date him, in an attempt to make the other guy jealous, which I mean, I guess, but like what? I mean, I understand he thinks it's like a guy thing, like if a guy sees you with someone else, they want you more. I don't know if that's actually true. So they start to fake date, and obviously you can imagine that they start to have feelings for each other, and you know, stuff that happens. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to like this book. It's a sports romance. Well, actually, to be honest, the sports doesn't really come up very often. I thought it would a bit more, but it didn't. For a contemporary romance, this actually went kind of slow, the romance, for me at least. I've seen someone say it was too fast, which I'm surprised to see that, because a lot of contemporary romances, especially like erotica, they go into bed like, not even the bed, sometimes they just do it anywhere, within the first like 100 pages. And this book, it took a while. It took away, I think like maybe to like the halfway mark maybe. And for me, I like that personally. I like when characters take a lot of time to get to that point. They're to be an emotional relationship before they get into a physical relationship. But there are a lot of contemporary romances that start physical and then get emotional, and I don't like those at all. It makes sense coming from me. I'm demisexual, which means I like to have an emotional connection with someone before I really want anything else. And sometimes I don't even find people attractive unless I get emotionally, you know, closer to them. You can show me like the hottest guy in the world and I'll be like, it's not until I know their personalities usually that I actually find attraction towards anyone. So I kind of feel like that with books. Like if a guy and the girl are together right away and there's no connection, it's just kind of like throws me off. This book has a few tougher topics. Like I said, I put content warnings in my reviews. I try to do as many books as I can. There's some I don't do it with, but most of the books I read and put on my wrap-up videos, I do have content warnings, so on my Goodreads, they'll be there. Now, I'm giving this a 4 stars. I really did enjoy it. I will not be reading Ice Planet Barbarians for the October pick for Cliterature Club. I already read it, and that was enough. I only need to read it once. I don't need to read it again. So I won't be reading it for that month, but I'm hoping I can maybe read it for November or December if they do it again. And the third and final book for the month of September was a surprising read for me because I didn't know if I would like it. Actually, you know what? That's a lie. I thought I would like it. It has like a 3.5 or 3.6 rating on Goodreads, which is pretty low for Goodreads, but I liked it quite a lot. I gave it a 4.5, and that is Guild by Raven Kennedy. Like I said, I gave it a 4.5. I rounded it down to a 4 on Goodreads because I am so picky with my 5 stars that it's not even funny. This follows a story about King Midas and Orin. Orin is the main female protagonist, and 10 years prior, Midas saves Orin. I wouldn't even say that, but you know, he takes her in and then keeps her in this cage for a decade. So the entire time, obviously with Midas, if you know about King Midas, everything he touches turns to gold. So there is one point where he decides to make Orin gold touched. So he touches her and she becomes gold, not solid gold, but just like her body, her hair, everything becomes gold. And he is kind of like her treasured, you know, female. I don't know, it's gross, okay? You pretty much see Orin kind of go from this comfort. She finds comfort in the cage and she kind of sees it as a salvation because without this situation, she would have been on the streets again. So she sees Midas as kind of like a savior to her, and she sees him as a good person because he helped her. This book does have darker topics. I don't know if people dislike this book because of the writing, if it's because of the characters, if it's because of the dark themes that they didn't expect, but this does have darker themes in it. There is SA on page, there is manipulation, there is gaslighting, there is Stockholm Syndrome, there is a bunch of things. Like I said, I'll be on my Goodreads. If you want to check this out, please probably look up content warnings if you want to. I didn't really need them. I don't think I've ever really been like triggered by anything before. There are things that kind of bother me a bit more than others, but I don't really get triggered by anything. But I haven't really gotten to really dark books yet. This is probably one of the darker books I've read. Even then, it's not that bad. I expected it to be a lot worse. This world is very misogynistic and sexist. A lot of the men in this book are disgusting, and I don't mean that like lightly. Almost all of them are. I think it kind of just shows the realities of this mindset of women being less than. Like, I know people might think it's horrible and the men are horrible and they're all pigs and giving you 2 stars because of that, but like, there are places in the world that women are treated horribly in comparison to the Western world. We're very, very lucky here in North America. I'm in Canada personally. This book is just showing that darker side of it, and I don't know, I kind of liked it in a way. Obviously it was angering for me, but I kind of liked it because it kind of shows, you know, different sides, and hoping to see more good male characters because they are out there. They are out there. You just gotta find them. Another point I want to add is that the love interest, so this is not a romance book. This is a lead up to a romance series. This is not, the first book is not a romance book. It's a fantasy romance that doesn't have the romance yet. This first book does not have romance. I know that the other ones will. I knew who the romance interest was the moment they showed up in the scene, and I'm kind of annoyed because there is a very overused trope. I don't really know if I should say anything about it. I might say what it is because this is my last point. So I'm gonna just put spoilers, and I will timestamp when it's over and where I close off the video, but there is a spoiler for why I'm kind of annoyed at the love interest, even though he just showed up. I'm just gonna point out why this kind of annoys me. Well, okay, I'll explain. Spoilers starting now. So like I said, I predicted who the love interest was the moment they stepped into the scene. First of all, they're like this dark character that just walks in with these dark clothes and this helmet. What was his name again? Commander Rip, like R.I.P., like let it rip, like Beyblades, you know? I loved Beyblades growing up, especially the metal ones that sparked. Good times, good times. Commander Rip walks into the scene and he has like these spikes on him and stuff, whatever. And then the trope comes in that he is a fae. The moment she said there was fae, I knew that was him. I'm like, of course it's gonna be a fae character. The fae love interest thing is so overused. And that is coming from me, who's writing a story that has a fae love interest. Now, the reason why I'm doing it, I really was going to not do it in my own story, but the reason why I added it is because I wanted to change it up a bit. My character is not very typical for the fae, you know, dark-haired, tall, muscular, kind of fae love interest. I'm so tired of seeing it. I'm sorry. They are attractive, I'll give you that. Honestly, they are. Still, it's so overused, and the moment he walked in, I knew it instantly, and it's almost just copy-paste at this point. Will I like him? Yes. I don't even doubt that I'm gonna like him. I will probably fall in love with him, you know? I love Rhysand. I love all the dark-haired, tall guys in the books, but I just want a little bit of diversity in regards to how they look, into height, into like hair color. Rowan is a breath of fresh air because he's different too, okay? He has white hair, and I loved white hair characters in video games like Fenris from Dragon Age, Kakashi from Naruto, Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. You like white hair? Yes, please. So let's do a little bit of diversity when it comes to our fae men, because they are all identical. The funny thing is I'm gonna like him. That's the funniest part. I'm complaining, but I'm gonna like it. Damn it. So with that, I am gonna finally close off this video. Like I said, I only read 3 books, which is really bad for me, but you know, I'm not mad at myself for it or anything. I am just happy that I actually finished books in September, and I actually got through 3 whole books and a half of a book, which was like 300 something pages, because Eldest is 668 pages. So the fact that I got through half of that and these 3 books while I was going through depression and everything, it's just, I'm not mad about it with myself. There are people that read 3 and they are happy about it, so I'm not going to complain about having 3. My average is 4 to 6 a month. I read about a book every 5 days, so I am happy with just having that 3, and I am not upset about that. Thank you as always for watching. If you don't know what to say, or if you just want to add it to your comment, put like a ghost emoji, like these cuties. I made these. Aren't they cute? This one has no arm on that one side, but that's okay. We still love him. Put a ghost emoji if you want in the comments, or add it to your comment. I hope you have a great month. I hope you have a great reading month. I hope that October is a better reading month. I think a lot of people kind of struggle with September's reading, so I hope that October does a lot better in regards to reading. Enjoy your October month, and I hope to see you in the future. Goodbye, everyone.